All right, good evening, everybody. Trust our day went on well. So today we're going to be looking at GitHub and GitHub, basically version control. Now, by the end of this section, these are the items I'm going to have learned. Should have known how to have an overview of what Git is, the difference between Git and GitHub, how to create a GitHub repository, how to initialize your project with Git, how to write a commit message, how to push to your repository, how to check out a new branch, how to pull, push, and create a pull request. Then, how to publish your application using GitHub pages. Version control. GitHub is just one of the version controls that are available all over the world. We have others like Bitbucket, GitLab, etc. Now, the basic thing you should know as a developer is how to use Git. Once you know how to use Git, you have covered about 90% of your challenges, because GitHub, GitLab, and all other version control system, they make use of Git. So in this section, I'm going to be focusing on the use of GitHub. All right, so what is Git and GitHub? Now, Git is a distributed version control system that used to track changes that are made to a file or a project. Now, it was started by the great scientists or inventor called Linus Torvalds, the same person that created the Linus OS. I know we've heard about Linus OS and created system. So GitHub, now let's look at the difference. GitHub is a cloud open source collaboration platform that brings together the world's largest community of developers to discover, share, and build better software on open source projects private team. So basically, Git is kind of an application that used to track changes. You know, when you are developing, you have to be tracking or saving your changes that you're making. As you progress while developing, you have to be tracking your changes. So to do that, make use of Git. One of the reasons why you track your changes is in case you run into an error while doing development, you want to revert back to the previous change and compare the differences, so you're able to easily debug and find a solution. So in a more simpler term, GitHub is the website that you can visit via the URL github.com. You want to see that live when you start doing practicals. Now, there are several ways to configure Git. Now, I'm talking about the two used to track your changes. There are several ways you can configure it, which depends on the operating system you are using. If you're on a Mac, there's a way, there's a particular raw file that you need to download to install it. While if you're on a Windows, the particular raw file that suits that operating system also. Same goes for Linux, but the configuration is one and the same. So we have git config global.username. These are more practical. Git config global.username, etc. So pushing a project to GitHub. So what is a repository? Yeah, I said a repository is a directory or storage space where your projects can live. So the whole essence of using GitHub version control is you're able to save your changes, to track your changes while you're developing, while you're writing your HTML, while you're writing your Python, being able to track those changes, save them bit by bit while you work. That's all the whole essence of using GitHub and version control. So repository helps to store those changes. That is where the files of your project lives. And it contains all of your project files and each file's revision history. Now, there are commands that are very useful: git init, git status, git add, or git adding of the file. Git copy. Don't worry, I'll share this slide after the class. You get the commands. Git remote add already, git push already. These are practical. The commands you get to use while you are doing it. They're more practical than theoretical. So collaborating with teams on GitHub. Now you start the internship. You are taking classes, doing assignment, doing tasks. I know you've been given a task to work on, which you are going to make use of GitHub for. Now, you're going to be collaborating with your teammates. Very soon, you're going to enter the project phase. In the project phase, you're going to be working with your teammates. Basically, this is a remote internship. You're not in the same location. That's why you need to use Git and GitHub. That is the solution that version control is solving. So collaboration simply means coming together, bringing developers on a single project, which means that you can be here, someone can be in Canada, you can collaborate with the person, someone can be in Abuja, someone can be in Benin, and can get to collaborate with the person. Now, some important things and terminologies to know. We have number one, branches. The branch is a label for each commit to make. And now we have that two different kind of branch, master or the main. Initially, it was the master. I think about 2 years ago, about a year or 2 years ago, GitHub was adopted using the main. So you have the upstream, forking a repository, cloning, merging, resolving conflicts, and debugging. These are just several terminologies you're going to be hearing. Don't get scared, don't worry. It's time. You need to adapt to these terminologies. So thank you. This is all for the theoretical part. So the next phase is going to be the practical. Myself and my colleague Ninyo are going to be doing the practical of how you should make use of GitHub. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ebuka. Okay, so I'll just go ahead to share my screen. Please can I stop sharing? Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So this is the practical aspect of the Git and GitHub. And what we will be taking you, that will walk you through how to create a repository. That's to create a repository is one of the things it's very, very simple. But then we are going to walk you through how to create a repository, how to initialize your project, how to commit changes and push to your repository. And also, as Ebuka mentioned, we will also be collaborating on that same repository. So let's just take, for instance, probably you guys are a group of developers working on a particular project, and you all have, let's say, different parts that you need to be working on, right? Okay, so every one of you will be working on, let's say, one repository, right? So each person will push his or her own changes to that same repository. So that is what we are just going to display this evening. We are just going to walk you through. Okay, so this is my GitHub profile showing on the screen. So the first thing that I will be doing is to create a repository. So you can see, let me zoom in. Okay, so I'm sure this is display now. Okay, so you can see over here, you can see this new button. You can see this button showing you. So if you want to create a repository, you can either go here to create a repository. So you just click on the new. Okay, so you can see here that it's saying create a new repository. So I'm not going to do this now. I would like to show you the other part of how to create it. In case your stuff is not showing up like this. In case it's not showing up like this. So you can just move to your profile here. That you click the drop down button here. Then you will see a list of different things that you can do with your GitHub profile. This to show your profile, and this your repository. So you can. Sorry. So okay. So you can just click on your repositories. Okay. So looking at it now. So what you will just need to do now is to click on the new button. So it's still the same way. It's still going to bring you to the same place that it took me to earlier. So it's either you use that way or you go through the route of going to your profile. That's your profile. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is to input my repository name. So the repository name can be anything, right? It can be anything, but then it should have no space in it. Okay, even if you are writing a repository name with space, GitHub is going to help you rename it. It's going to put hyphen in between the spaces. So let's just make a practical of it and let's see. Okay, so I want to show very practical. Okay. So I just wanted to look at, let me see. Okay. So just look at this this thing down here. So you can see that it's showing that your new repository will be created as Zuri Practical. So you can see that what I used here is Zuri Practical, space in between. But then GitHub is helping me to rename it using hyphen. That means space is not accepted. But then if you use space, it's going to help you rename it. I'm sure you get that explanation. Okay, so let me just use it. Okay, so this is available. Okay, so the description part is optional. You can either add a description or you can just skip it. So I'll just add just let me say one line. So okay, so let's move over. Okay, so we have public and private. So you can either make your repository public or you can either make it private. So if you make it public, everybody can see it and everybody can have access to it. But if you make it private, nobody will see it. It's just it will just be seen by you alone. You get it? Okay. So now this initialize this repository. Initialize this repository. So it is either you have you click on this add a README file. So let's say probably you are just creating let's say a new repository and you don't have any files yet. Let me just quickly show you my VS Code. Okay, so this is my VS Code, right? I already have some files. I already have some files here. Okay. Yeah. So I already have some files here. I have the README already and other files. So I will not be adding a README file upon creating upon the creation of my repository. So okay, so I won't check it. But then if you have no file, you can just check it. Check the add a README file because you know you will be cloning the repo if you want to make it of it. So just uncheck it and if you don't have a README file, please check it. Okay, so this okay, so every other thing, just ignore them and you now click your create repository button. So I'll just create this. I'll click on this now. Create repository. Okay. So very good. Now you can see that it's showing that our repository has been created. So this is it. This is my username, Niola, and this is the repository name, Zuri Practical. So let me just quickly show you. Okay, so looking at the commands we have here, these are the basic commands that you will use in setting up, let's say, pushing your code that you have in your local, pushing it to the GitHub repository. You get it? So you really do not need to cram all the codes. You really do not need it. One of the things is that with time, as you use it, it's going to stick to your brain. So you really do not need to cram it. But there are some basic ones that there is no how that if you want to make use of it, you surely use it on a day-to-day basis. So you don't need to cram it. All what you just need to do is after your repository has been created, you are going to see the what are they calling the commands here that you can make use of. Okay. So okay. So now let's leave it the way it is now, and let's go to our VS Code. Okay, so let's assume the task you are being given, you are true and you already have your files here, and all what you just want to do is to push it to the GitHub repository. So all you just need to do is, the first thing is you need to initialize your repo with your project with Git. And we have the, what are they calling it here? We have the command here. So that is why I said you really do not need to cram it. So you can just copy the command and paste it in your command line. Do you get? So, and if you know that you want to type it out one after the other, it's fine. So it's good for you to type it so that you will easily remember them, maybe when next you want to use it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to initialize my project with Git. So let me just run a Git command so that you will see that this project has not been initialized earlier. So let me just run a Git command so you will see. Okay, very good. So because this project has not been initialized with Git earlier, it's telling me that fatal, not a Git repository. So it's telling me that I have not initialized this particular project I'm working on with Git. So what I need to do first is to do Git init. So that Git init means that you are initializing your project with Git. So I'll just do this Git init. Okay. Using master as the name. Okay. So if you remember what Ebuka was saying earlier, he made mention of GitHub switching from master to main, right? He made mention of that. Okay, so this is just an hint showing you that, okay, I am currently using master as the name of my branch. So all I'll just need to do is, so the names commonly chosen instead of master are main. Okay, so what I'll just do is I can easily switch from, let's say, I can easily switch the branch name from master to main. I'm coming, let me see. Okay, so before going to that, let's check out the next command to use. Okay, you see that we have git add readme. So before doing that, I'm coming, let me see. Okay, let me, okay. Okay, so let me just switch the see main. Okay, so git branch. Okay. So right now, let me just clear everything again. Okay, so now, okay, so now the next thing I'll need to do is, that it's showing me that we have git add readme.md. This is if you, let's say, the other time, if you initialize your repository with the readme, or if you have just readme. Okay, so let's say I have, this is it now. I have readme.md. I have it here. So if I do this git add readme.md, definitely I'm adding just the readme file. So we have two ways of, let's say, adding. Before you add a file, let's say you are done working on the project, so you want to commit your changes. The first thing you will do is to add the first thing you are going to do is to add your files. After adding your files, you commit your changes. After committing your changes, okay, then you push. But that is after you have initialized, you have finished initializing your project with Git. Okay, so let me just add. Okay, I have all of this here, all of my files. I don't want to add just the README file. I want to add all of the files here. So if you want to add all of the files, instead of doing it one after the other, you will just use the Git add. Then you use the full stop. So using the full stop means you are adding all of the files in that directory. You can see that my file name here containing all of my projects, all of the files containing my project is named 02. I named it 02, right? Okay, and my directory here, I have changed directory into that folder. I mean, that same 02, that same 02 folder. So let me just show you something. So if I do ls now, I'm listing all of the files in my folder. You can see that the same thing that you have here, that is what you have here, that is being listed here, right? So that is when you can make use of the git add full stop. So this full stop means that add all the files in my root directory. Do you get it? Okay, so just click enter. Okay, I've added all of the files right now. Okay, so let's look at the next command to use. Okay, so we have git commit. So now we want to commit our changes. So we have different ways of committing changes, right? The best way is once you are done, let's say, creating a feature, just commit that changes. It's not a best practice for you to, let's say, finish all of your work before committing changes, because there are times that you might want to return back to the previous commit, to the previous change you get. So, and for a particular feature. So if you finish all of the work before committing the changes, it's just going to contain everything you get. So I'm having git commit flag m and my commit message. So let me just show you. So this is the command itself, git commit flag m. So this one inside the quotation mark now is the commit message that you want to make use of. So let me just show you on the command line. So git commit flag m. So the flag m is a message, flag m. So you open quote. So you can either use the single or the double quote. But mind you, if you are using the single quotes, make sure that that is what you use in closing it. Let me just write initial commit or my first commit, anything you like. So anything in between this, in between the quotes, that is your commit message, anything in between it. So like I said earlier, if you are using a single quote, make sure you also use a single quote at the end. But if you are using a double quote like this, make sure that is what you are using at the end also. Okay, so I'll just click on enter. Okay, so right now, let me increase my, okay. So right now, you can see the message we have here. This is the commit message I wrote, initial commit. So you can see that, okay, main, this is the branch I switched to earlier. Main, initial commit, this is my commit message. So it's telling me that 20 files changed, 4,840 insertions. So these are all of the files I committed. That is, these are the files I'm planning to push to the GitHub. Right, so these are all the files. Okay, so let's go back to our command. Okay, so I've done this earlier, git branch main. I've switched to the main branch already. So now I need to add the origin. That is, this is, looking at this now, this is the repository link I created. You remember I used Zuri Practical as the repository name. This is my own username, Niola, and this is the GitHub website, github.com, right? Okay, so combination of all of this gives you your URL to your repository. So anybody can take this this URL, put it on the web browser, and access your repository for that project as far it is public. But if it is private, they won't be able to access it. It's going to show them for error, page not found. Okay, so I'll just copy this and paste it here. Okay, so okay, so now I've added my remote origin. Okay, so to check if you have, let's say, a remote origin, so let's do this git remote v. Okay, so you can see the link we just added now. That is the remote link. You can see the link we just added now. This is it. Earlier, nothing was there. So let's see. Okay, so the next thing now is, okay, so right now, before going to the last command, this is it. We've gone through all the steps in pushing our project to the GitHub, to our GitHub repository we created earlier. So what I'll just need to do now is, after all of that, I just need to push my, using the push command, I'll push my project to my repository. So this is it, git push main. Okay. Okay, very good. So we can see here that counting objects 100% done. Remember we have, okay, I've cleared it. Okay, done everything here. So this shows that I have successfully pushed my project to my repository. So now it is available for use by other people. You can, and you can also change it to private if you don't want anybody. You can change your repository to private if you don't want anybody to have access to it. Okay, so let's view our project in our repository. Remember, this was the way it was earlier. So all I just need to do is to refresh. Okay, so we can see all the files that we have in our local environment. We can now see it on GitHub. So we can have collaborators, so people can collaborate with it. Do we get? Okay, so now I'll be handing it over to Ebuka. So Ebuka will show us how to, let's say you want to have a copy of this repository, a copy of this project on your local environment. So you want to have it, right? So Ebuka will be showing us how to clone the repo. Okay, no, first of all, how to fork the repo. So forking the repo just means having like a copy of that project, So Ebuka will be showing us how to fork the repo, how to copy, how to clone the repo, and also how to make pull requests and all of that. Okay, so so I'll just stop sharing now. Ebuka, you can just continue.
All right, thank you, Ninyo. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so please show me the link to the repo. You show me the link to the repo. All right, so we've already learned how to create a new repository and how to push our project to GitHub. Now comes the collaboration, which is one key part that we should understand. Now, the first thing to do to fork a repo is to get the URL of the repo. Once you get the URL of the repo, open it in your browser, then you move to this right-hand side of the GitHub, of GitHub. You see what you see, the lettering fork. Just click on it. So once you click on it, it should direct you to a page asking you that, are you sure you want to create a fork? Or just notify you that you're actually creating a fork of this repository to your personal account. What fork simply means is to have a copy of someone's repository that doesn't belong to you, having a copy of it in case perhaps you want to collaborate with that person, work and build a solution, a project with that person. So I'll click create a fork. Once I do that, it directs me to another page again, showing that I now have the copy of that repository. You can see my name coming first, then zero practice in the repository. So after fork, it's sequential. After fork, the next thing you should do is to clone. I know you've heard about open source on Twitter. I see people talking about open source. This is what open source is all about: collaborating on projects that are free, that are not private. So I'll open my Git bash now. If you are using Windows, what you should do is open your Git bash. Go to your search bar, click on, just type Git bash there, it should come up. Sometimes use node command line. Basically, any command line to work. With your VS Code, also use your VS Code also. So all I need to do, I'll just look for a directory where I want that project to be. So I'll look for a directory now. Documents. Let me just yeah, I'll cd to I'll seed it to that place. Seed it to class. Read this class. Don't worry about these commands I'm using. They are not hard. Most of them are in Google. See the thing needs to change directory. But that's not our focus for this class. But there are things you can actually easily pick up. So I'll initialize the repository. I'll clear repository into this place. So I need to do this with git clone. Then git clone, that will paste the URL. I'll paste the URL that I copied from here. This URL here. I'm going to paste it inside my command line. All right, so git clone, then Control V. If I'm using a Mac, I'll use sudo of access restriction. If you are using Windows, you need to use sudo. Enter my password. So I've successfully cloned the repository. How do you know that it's successful? It's going to show you 100%. Just check out 100%. You don't 100%, that simply means there was an error, something has occurred. You checked what could have caused it. Sometimes if you're having poor internet, your cloning might not work. So just check for 100%. You can't find it 100%, it means something has happened. Then you check to sort it out. And after cloning, I can come here and verify. You can see it here now, very practical. This is the project. And now I have a copy of that project on GitHub on my local system. I have it here on my local system. Can I go over to VS Code to open the project? Open my VS Code or any text editor you are using, browse Sublime or any other one. Let's come here. Open. Yeah, voila, I have the project now on my system, my local. So this is the project. Now, myself and Ninyo want to collaborate. So I'll just make a change. I'll make any change. Just the way you're collaborating with your colleague. In the project phase, you're going to be collaborating. Perhaps you've been assigned to work on the nav bar. Now you fork the main repository, you fork it, then you clone. After cloning, open your test editor, then start working. Let's assume I want to make a change. Okay, now this is an header. Okay.
Sorry, Ebuka. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, can you just show us what it looks like so they will know they will be able to see the particular change you make, like what it looks like before.
Okay. So let me open the live server. So this is the project. This is it. So I'll just make one or two changes. So I will know that change I've made. Okay, now let me take out the footer. This copyright fast and faster, all right. I'll take out this footer. Ideally, that might not be what you're going to do, but for teaching sake, for the sake of this session, I'm going to do that. In your real projects, it could be that you're going to work on the nav bar or the footer or something like that. So I'll go back to my code. So I'll go over to the footer. Now this is the footer. I'll just comment the footer out. I'll comment it out. And I will save. Okay, insufficient permission. This is mark issue. I'm going to fix that now. Well, I think it's saved now. So I'll save it successfully now. Like I said, you can either make use of your command line for Windows, you can make use of your command line of your git bash. While for Mac, you can make use of the command line interface. So I want to show you how to do it with VS Code. I think Ninyo showed us just now. Yeah, most time I prefer using the VS Code because it saves me time instead of switching between my text editor and command line. So I'll just come here. I open git bash. So what I need to do now is to check, use this command, git status. This status is to check the status of your project, of your Git repository, to check if any changes has been made. You can see that modified index.html. Now, the red color simply means that the change has been made. Now, I'll now have to add this to staging. I'm attempting to save this project now on my local repository. I'll now stage it. Now do git sudo git add. Like Neil said, you can either specify index.html or git add dot. Most times, git add dot adds several group of files. Let's assume I make changes to several files, index.html, script.js, so many files, and I want to add all of them at the same time. I just use git add dot, and it works very smoothly. Add them at once. Let me just specify since I'm adding just HTML.
Ebuka.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you just check your message?
Okay. I've seen it. All right, so I skipped a particular step. I have to tell us about that step. Now, after you fork and clone, the first thing you should do ideally is to create a branch. This will help you to prevent conflicts, having conflict while you are working. So to create a branch, there are two commands you could use. Git branch, the name of the branch. Now, the name of your branch, best practice suggests that it should be what you are working on. Now, for me, I want to work on the footer because my intention is to remove this footer. This is the lecture in the footer, this copyright. I want to remove it. So I'm going to create a branch called footer by using the command git branch footer. I have to add sudo to it. The branch has been successfully created. To confirm how the branch has been created, you use the command git branch -v. This V stands for verbose. So you can either spell it in full or just abbreviate it with V. It's going to work. So by doing that, it displays the new branch I've created. So you can see footer here. Now you can see that there's an asterisk on the main. What that simply means is that The main is the particular branch where we are. But now I want to move away from the main to the footer. How do I do that? I just use git checkout. Checkout. Footer. Of course, I use sudo. So you can see switch to branch footer. This simply means that I'm now inside the footer branch. I can now make changes to the project. Don't forget, if you're working on the navigation bar, name your branch navbar. Or basically what I'm going to work on. The reason for this is to make collaboration very easy, so that because you most likely you won't be in the same location with your colleagues. You want to know, okay, this person works on the footer, this works on responsiveness, etc. So we are now in the main, so I can make my changes now. Like I said, I want to move this directory, copyright, just command steric. So I've taken now the footer. Look at, so you can see that the directory is no longer there. So I'll not check the status of my repository, git status. So it's not showing me like you made a change or modified index.html. What do you intend to do? Do you intend to add it? I want to add it. So I think git sudo git add the dot, or I'll specify index.html. So I will not confirm if it has been added or staged. What I've just done now is to stage the file. You want to notice that the color will change to green. Sudo git status, checking the status again. It's now green, which means that it's staged, temporary. Now the next thing to do is to commit. Commit simply means to save. I want to save the change I've made to my local repository. I'm now using command. Don't worry, all these commands they're inside that. Inside my slide, not all, most of the commands are there. But the truth is, why I to use Git, just know there's some basic command you can't do without. Just know them. The rest, you can easily go while you're working. Even me myself, I don't know the Git command in my head. I don't know them all fast. So that applies to everybody, not just me alone. So next thing is to commit sudo git commit -m in quotes, a commit message. Now, this commit message is very important. Many developers out there make this mistake. There's a best practice of making commits, writing commit message. Your commit message must be in present tense. That's the best practice. That's what is recommended. You need in present tense. If you worked on the footer, don't write worked on the footer, adding past tense, ed. No, that's not best practice. It must be in the present tense. So I'll say work on the footer. Okay. So one file changed. So I've committed. Then you can also check your commits using git log. Git log will show you all your commit history. Will show you the message. You can see that work on the footer. This is the first commit, initial commit. This is the new one now, work on the footer. So after that, the next thing I want to do is to push. Before I push, I'll check if my remote is available. Git, okay, sudo git remote -d available.
Ebuka, please, can you just zoom in a little bit?
Zoom in, okay. Oh. Is it better now? Is it better?
Yes, I have. Yes, it is.
Okay. So I want to push now. This sudo git push origin main. Okay. See,
Okay.
I need to add.
Okay, I need to add you as the collaborator.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay, sorry. I'll put it down now. Okay. Let me drop your GitHub design. Okay, thank you. I have.
You added me. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, guys, what just happened right now is that just because I did not add him as a collaborator on my repository, he is unable to push to my repo. So if you want someone to also have asset or work with you on a single repo, you need to give everyone that will be working permission. So all I just did was to add his GitHub username to as a collaborator to my repository. So doing that, you'll be able to push successfully to the repository now. Zoom a little bit, please.
Yes.
Zoom a little bit.
Okay, let me see. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay. So I'll be pushing to the upstream now. Sudo git Okay, now you can see that I just added the remote, added the remote upstream. Now I want to push my change to our repository. So I use the command git push upstream instead of origin. But you check, we have two remotes here. We have origin, we have upstream. We want to push to upstream. Origin should still work, but let's try upstream. So I successfully push to the upstream. Okay. So I'll push there. So you can see that once about GitHub, or sorry, about Git and GitHub, basically, it will suggest to you what to do. Just make sure you are reading. Now that you're starting, now make sure you are reading the messages that follows on each success. You can see create a pull request for this branch footer on GitHub. That's on GitHub, the site, the platform, by visiting this. So I can alternatively just copy this URL. I just copy this URL on here. Boom. I copy the URL from here. So initialize a pull request or to create a pull request. Now on that thing again, when creating your pull request, there are some things you could also do to make life easy while you are collaborating. Whatever thing you have done, you can take a screenshot of that particular. For example, if you're working on a UI, this is easy for the front-end developers because Git and GitHub are used by both front-end and back-end. Even data scientists use GitHub, not just developers. So now I'm going to go to the live application or the application that I'm running or that I've run. I'll come here. I'll take a screenshot of what I just did. I remove the footer. So I'm taking a screenshot. I come back to my GitHub. I come back to my GitHub. Sorry, about my GitHub, and let me see where to save. Yeah, it's there. So I can come here and I'll add that file. You can also check. You can see the code. You can also read the code to know what was added and what was removed. You can see the plus sign. Plus sign means this copyright or this lettering here or letters, whatever, was commented, was added. This is the change I made. But the negative sign means this was removed. So you can also confirm from GitHub itself. Touch file. Okay, I can just drag. Okay. I'm gonna drag it and drag that. Let me see. Video. Attach a link. Attach. Okay, how do I drag this? How do I drag this? Oh. Let me see if I can copy. I just copy. Yeah, it worked. So I'm pulling that screenshot I did. I was also attach files by drag. I don't know how you go about it. That I don't know how you do your dragging in Mac. So for Windows, just drag that file and put it here. There used to be an icon to click. The one thing about this platform, the most time they change their user interface. I guess that's we change that in the UI. I don't know. So you create a pull request. Click on create pull request. Oh, voila, came up. So you can see the change I made. You cannot add a comment to it. Now, before you, this is one thing you must always note. Before you create a pull request, before you merge a pull request. Now it's showing merge a pull request because I have an access. I have access to this repo. I didn't have an access. This merge request you see here will not be here. Because I have an access, that's why I can also push and merge. The reason I'm saying this is because while we collaborate on this project, there's a high possibility that everyone will not have an access to that project because people are very many. So you might just fork your repo, clone, then you push, then initiate a pull request. Then someone can read and merge. Then before you merge, you must always check out for conflicts. This letter is very, very important. This branch has no conflict with the base branch. If what you can see here is showing that there's a conflict, resolve your conflict. Just keep whatever you are doing, do not merge. Go back to your code and see whatever change you might have made. This is because if you go ahead and try to merge when there's a conflict, you may break an application, especially if the application is live. Because there might be times whereby application might be deployed and there's a CI/CD to it. So once you push, it gets deployed. Let me go and break the application in production. So you must be very careful to observe for conflict. So merge pull request, what I need to do. Now, like I said before, assuming you do not have the access to merge, the person that's going to merge now be able to say, okay, Mr. John has made a change to the footer. I can only see the picture. I can see what he did. So he doesn't need to go and be calling you. He already knows what he's going to do. As the people are collaborating virtually, so I can go ahead and merge the pull request. Then you can also leave a comment, work on the footer. Because once a merge request is sent, the person that owns the repository receives an email. So you get to see this message. Merge pull request. I cannot go and merge. Confirm merge. I'm not click. Not sure that it has merged. Or I don't know what I see half time. But I know that. Let's check. You can see. Let's check. Let me refresh. If I refresh this now. Okay, yeah, you can see it here. You can see my branch. This is my branch. It's now on GitHub. Footer is not here. So this is my commit message. Work on the footer. So it's there. So my colleague Ninyo, if she pulls this project, perhaps she wants to keep working on the project. Once she pulls, she's going to have the change I've just made in a whole local system. So you get to see that as we keep doing this process, it gets to collaborate, everyone being in sync of what is going on. So this is what the standard you almost following during the project phase and while you're collaborating. So Ninyo, I don't know, just it's time for you to pull and check it.
Yeah. Let me just quickly do that before showing them how to use GitHub pages. Okay, so yeah, you can just stop sharing so I can share my screen too. Thank you. Okay, guys, let me just quickly share my screen. Okay. Okay. So, okay. So I just want to, okay, so this is my local now. You remember what all the things Ebuka just did now? I don't have it on my local. You remember. So to have the recent changes on your local, that is, you want them to be in sync together. All you just need to do is to pull the repository. So I saw someone talking about pull, if pull is the same thing as, I think, creating repo or something. No. So you just pull the repository to have the recent changes that anybody has worked on in your own local, because the last time you cloned the repo, it was the last, what are they calling it? The last changes that was done that you have in your local system. Okay, so some of the things that I actually, before pulling, some of the things that I actually want to just point out is that some people are asking about if you are to use sudo or not. Remember, Ebuka made mention that you don't need to make use of sudo. He is using sudo because he's using a Mac and he wants to have admin privilege. So that is it on the Windows user. You don't need sudo at all. So sudo is for Mac and Linux users. Okay. So and again, you can see earlier while I was working on mine, I did not make use of sudo at all, even if I'm using Mac, right? Okay, so another thing is, someone also asked that if you can fork a repository of your own. You don't need to fork a repository you created yourself, because you already have that repository in your GitHub account. So you get, it is only if you don't have the repository. Remember, Ebuka explained earlier that if you want to have a copy of someone's repository in your own list, in your own repositories, that is when you fork the repo, right? So you really don't need to fork the repository you created. Okay, so okay, so okay, so let me just pull what the changes Ebuka made. So I will have the current changes on my own local. But first, remember I added Ebuka as a collaborator. Remember, I added him as a collaborator, and I did not show you guys. So this is it. If you are the owner of the repository, all you just need to do is go to the settings, just like you just watch what I'm doing now. Okay, so I zoomed my screen. Okay, so just go to the repository, click on the settings of that repository. So you will see on the left-hand side, you're going to see collaborators. So just click on collaborators, then come here, you see add people. So just click on add people. If you click on add people, you just input their username or their email. Do you get? So you just choose. So that is that about that. So let me just go and pull. So now if I want to pull, I don't need to come here again to clone the rep. I don't need to. We have a command to pull changes from GitHub, which is, okay, so that is what I'll be showing you now. So please just watch what I do. Okay, so I'll just do git pull. Okay. Let me just do this first. So okay, guys. So when I did git pull, this is me pulling everything from that repository. This is me pulling the new branch it created and the changes that have been merged to the main, right? So you can see it here. One file's changed. That is the changes that I made, and I have the footer here. So if I do git branch, sorry, git branch. Okay. I have, okay, my main is still showing. I'm coming. Git branch. Okay, guys. So you remember that I did Git branch earlier, and it's showing just my main branch that I have. So now, to show any hidden branches, just add the flag A. Just add the flag A after your Git branch. So this is it. I can now see the footer branch it created, right? Okay, so let me just move into the index to see if I now have the current changes, the current changing name. Okay, so you can see that what he did earlier was to comment out this, and after I pulled, I have this also. You see, I have it. So one of the things is that before you pull or before you do anything, make sure that you always check out to the branch you'll be working on. Remember, don't compromise the main branch. And if it's master you are using, don't compromise the master branch. What that means is that don't work directly on the main or the master branch. Don't. The main or the master branch contains all the changes you've been doing. So if you're working directly, you might make a mistake and you've already done all of that, you've pushed already. So that one is, so don't work directly on the main branch. So there are also some settings that you do to protect your main branch from other people to push to it. There are settings to do that, which is done by the admin. So in that slide that Ebuka will be sharing, we'll just ensure that we add the basic commands that you will need on a day-to-day basis. So let's say you now want to do anything higher, then you can always use Google. Google is your friend. Just as Ebuka said, even me too, I don't know all the commands. If I'm running into an issue now, I'll just copy the error message. I want paste it on my browser, and I'm going to see the solution to it. So always do that. Adopt the attitude of using Google, please. Okay, so so that is that about that. So let's say maybe I want to now make a new changes or something. I can now go ahead and check out to my new branch and start making my changes and push again. Okay, I want to show us something. You remember the way Ebuka merged, did the pull request and also merge. So let's say this thing is not showing. Let's say you just made the new changes, right? Okay, let me just do something. So you will see what I want to show you very well. Okay. I just want to, oh, sorry. I want to check out first. Okay, this is me just trying to check out to a new branch. I don't have this branch before. So there is this command. Let's say, we have the footer branch here, and I want to move into that footer branch. I will just do git checkout footer. So you can see that we have here that switch to a new branch footer, right? So this is me inside the footer branch. Remember that the command I used, this is the command I use, git checkout footer. It is very, very simple like that, as in just git checkout footer. So let's assume I want to create, let's say, a new branch and also check out to that branch. Checkout simply means moving into a particular branch. So let's say I want to create a new branch and also move into that branch. It's called checkout. So it's good to use the terms. right? So when you're in the midst of developers, you don't use move. So just do git checkout. To create a new one is the flag B. You get right. Flag B shows that you are creating a new branch and you're also checking out to it. So git checkout, flag B. Let me just name it my name, Ninyo. You get, so nothing is coming to my head. So okay, so can you see switch to a new branch, Ninyo? So let me check my branches now. Git branch. Okay, so I have footer, main, and Ninyo. You see Ninyo, you see that I'm inside the Ninyo code, the Ninyo branch. Remember Ebuka said that when you see this green and this type, it means that that is the branch you are working on. Other branches, you are not in them. So that is that about that. Okay, so let me just quickly make the changes and show you what I want to show you about the pull request. Lorem 10. Okay. Okay, so I just added this. Let me go like, let me see. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I guess I did not add it to where I want to see it. Let me see. Okay, yeah, this is where I want to add now. H3. Lorem, then save it. Okay, so these are the new changes I made now. So let me just push it to the branch I created, which I named Ninyo. Don't forget, you need to add. After making your changes, the first thing you need to do is you add, you commit, then you push. So git add. This is everything, but I can still specify because I made changes to the index.html. I can still specify index.html, but I love using this. So git add, git commit, flag m. Okay. New line. Just so let's allow your commit messages to always to be self-explanatory to what you did, right? So people will not start looking at, okay, what does this mean? I don't even know what it means. So commit and push. You see what I'm doing? These three things, git add, git commit, and git push. You will use it more often than others. And check out, you use it more often. Git push. Okay, origin. Okay, Ninyo. That's the branch name, right? Okay, so I've pushed now. Let's go to my, okay, very good. So this is what I want to show us now. So you can see that you have this showing you that Ninyo had recent pushes less than a moment ago. This Ninyo is the branch name. So anything you named as the branch name, that is what we'll show here. So it's nothing serious. So you can click on this part here, this button that you're seeing here, to compare and pull requests, right? I'm coming, let me see. Okay, so to compare and pull requests, so just click on this. Okay, so can you see? So I'll just create a pull request. Okay, let me show you this. You can see that I'm comparing my Ninyo branch to the main branch, which means that I want to merge the changes I have here in Ninyo branch. I want to merge Ninyo branch into the main branch. So let's assume is the footer branch you want to merge. So you can easily change it this way. Okay, because there's no changes made here. That is why it's showing there isn't anything to compare. The changes in the footer is already in the main. So let me go back to new branch I created. So this is it. And I'm saying that, okay, I want to merge, I want to create a pull request to the main branch. It's showing me able to merge because I do not have a conflict. So I'll just go ahead and create pull request. Okay. So another thing is, if you are not the admin of that repo, please, probably the admin forgot to set a branch protection to the main branch. Please don't merge the code yourself. Let's either the team lead, please let the team lead to do the merging, or the team can actually assign people to review codes and also merge pull requests. Please don't do it yourself, please. Okay, so you can just merge because it's mine. So okay, so that is that about that. So to the interesting part now. Okay, you can see this is it, the new commit I made, new line. Okay, so to the interesting part now, want to walk you through how to, what are they calling it? How to create, okay, how to publish your project using GitHub pages. A lot of people have been asking, how do you do that? I'm confused, stuff like that. Okay, so the first thing you will do is, you own the repo, right? Just go to the settings. This is it. You have to be inside the repository of the project you want to create, you want to publish. So move into, just go to click on the settings. I'm sure my screen is good enough. Let me just zoom. Okay, this is it. So to the left hand part, so this is it. Just come down. You will see something called pages here. This is it. Please just click on it. Pages. Okay, so this is the part that you need to pay attention to now. So you can see that you can just read it. GitHub pages is currently disabled. That means you've not published this repository. So select a source below to enable GitHub pages for this repository. So by default, GitHub pages is disabled. So you'll be the one to enable it. So just click on this drop down, this none, click on it. So remember that your main branch has all of the current or the detailed changes. It contains the detailed changes. So just select main branch. That is, you want to publish the main branch. So this is showing the root. This root means the folder, that is the root folder. Let me show you mine. Okay, remember that the way we have the files here, that is the same way we have the files. Let me just quickly go back. I'll come back to the GitHub pages. Let me just show you. Okay, so this is it. Remember that the way we have the files listed here, that is this way. That is the same way we have the files listed in our repository. So one thing that you need to take note of is, when doing this, you must have index.html file. You must have an index.html file. So GitHub takes the index.html file automatically as the root folder to interact with. It takes it as your own page. Do you get? It takes it as your own page. So you must have index.html in your root folder, or else, if you don't have the index.html file, and when you are trying to access the URL, it's going to show you page not found, right? Okay, so this is the settings, pages. Okay, so I'm selecting my main as, so just leave it as root. Leave it as root. The root means that you have everything, that it should take all the files in your root folder. So, and don't forget to save. Once after this, it is as simple as this. Just click on save. Okay, so you can see that it's saying GitHub pages is designed to host your personal organization or project finished from a GitHub repository. Okay, so your site is ready to be published at this link. So I can easily copy this link and send it to someone to view my project, to see what I've done. Do you get it? And I can also visit the pages using this link. So I'll just click on the link. The thing is, if you click on the link now, let me just click on it. Okay, if you click on the link now and it's showing this way, what you need to do is just give it some time. Do you get? Give it some time for it to finish loading. So do you see? All I just need to do is to refresh the page, and it means that it has been published successfully. So all I just need to do is to refresh. So this is showing, this is the index.html that is showing. Do you get? Let me just go back to mine. Okay. So this is the link that you are meant to submit, your hosted link. This means that you've hosted your project and you have your hosted link. So you can send it to anybody to just view your project. So I think that is that about that. So yes, so that is what we have on our table today. That is the last thing we have. Okay, so I believe we have some questions. Yes, it is as easy as that. It is very, very easy. So, okay, let me just see if we have some questions. Okay, let me just stop sharing. Oh, let me see. If a repository is, someone is asking if it's illegal to fork someone's repo. If the repository is open source, it means that for something to be open source, it means that you have the person is giving you the permission to fork the repo. So you can fork it. Do we get? That if open source means it's public, do you get? So someone is asking if we create a separate branch, would the branches be synced? Yes, it will be synced only if you create a pull request to the main branch, it will be synced. So after you work on a separate branch, make sure you always create a pull request to the main branch that contains the central code. So that is what you will do. Okay. Let me just stop sharing. Stop sharing. Okay, so okay, the difference between forking and add contributor to the repo. Okay, so let's say you have if a repository is let's say private, you can add the collaborator so that the person will be able to see all the files in it. But okay, difference between forking and add contributor. So the forking is you having the code. The forking is you having that the person's repository in your own GitHub. Do you get? So you have the copy. Okay, yes, that's the word. Making a copy, like having a copy of someone's repository in your own. Okay, so okay, yeah, so I stopped sharing. Okay, so I think that is that about that. Okay, someone is asking that how would they create .ignore? Okay, I'm coming. Let me just. Okay, so for .ignore, it is you adding files that you don't want to push to your repository. Files like node modules. Please don't push node modules to your repository. Okay, so all you just need to do is .git ignore. Oh shit. Okay, so can you see when I did .git ignore, I have the icon here. So .git ignore, and I click enter. So I can just add the name of the files that I don't want. Okay, so let's say I want to add my index.html, which I don't even want to do. Why will I want to do that? Okay, so this is just me showing you. So let's say you have a node modules. So just add it there. You get any file that you don't want to push to your repository, you do that here. So the front-end developers that are just working on creating pages and all of this, right now you are doing the basic things. So you really do not need this ignore right now because you are doing the basic things. So when you move on to, let's say, a bit higher, you surely need to use the git ignore. Okay, so I think that is the end. So it's contributor option. The thing is, pulling just means you see that even when I created that repository, I'm the one that created the repository, but when Ebuka made changes and pushed to the repository, I still have to pull because in my local, I don't have the new changes that has been added to the GitHub repository. I don't have the new changes. So I still have to pull it. So my local can contain the current changes. Okay. So, okay, so I think that is the end. Thank you. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining today's class, and I hope you learned a lot. Please, if you are confused, just go back to rewatch the video, and we will also be providing the link to the slide. Thank you. Bye.